Live now. Okay, happy new day in our integrated MLAI. Right now we are on YouTube, just like usual. And this time we are on YouTube. When I'm saying this time, because I don't know what is the time right now. The time is changing in Europe for the winter, and I'm still not configuring the time in good way. But today, first we have a welcome hi from Tom, who's unable to join us today, but he is messaging me, telling me that say hi to everyone, and he will for sure, he will join next week. Today he is in some kind of journey. And who will be our speaker today? He is Ammar Mohanna. Welcome, Ammar. Ammar is going to tell us about himself, about the PhD learning path, some suggestion, and he will be open also for our question, which is hopefully will be a lot. Go ahead, Ammar.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I think I'm not a guest. I'm a part of the family. This is how at least I consider myself. So I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Ammar Mohanna. I am Lebanese and half French. So I have a French nationality and a Lebanese one. And I am mainly a software engineer. And as soon as I finished my degree in software engineering, I went for 1 year of master's in Paris, and then I started my PhD in Italy, in Genova, Italy. It's a very beautiful city next to the sea. And my specialty was like I had masters in computer vision and image processing. And then I started my PhD in the field of edge applications for AI. That was the general topic of it. So I'm gonna talk a bit about the context of my PhD journey, because this type of PhD is called the industrial PhD, in which you have two supervisors, one from the university side, and the other is from a company, an industry. So and it is a big gift for me, but at the same time it is somehow bad, because in Europe this is something new. In France they call it doctorat cifre, so it has the same meaning as industrial PhD. And this comes when a collaboration comes between a R&D department in a company and a research lab in a university. So they support each other's, and the European Union is pushing towards this, because they are okay. So they are agreeing that the tax that is paid by the company could partially go to fund a PhD researcher. So this is how things are coming into this style of PhD, this new style of PhD. And one more reason, because they think that maybe the research paths are getting less and less productive. So this is why they thought that this might be a very useful idea to make it productive and well-oriented towards the industry need. So in my case, my company is called My Way, and it is concerned with the edge applications for AI. We do consultancy, so we work on several projects, and this is where my first problem came in. So whoever knows PhD knows that at the end you need to submit a thesis, and this thesis is concerned with one topic, which is the exact opposite of the thing I have. I work on different projects with the company, and mainly. Oh, hello, Dennis. Welcome, Hugo. Yeah, Dennis, I'm gonna tell you something when we finish. I need to tell you something later. Yeah.
Okay, sure, Ammar, but you have to be sure. You have to tell him before the soup time. This is important.
Before the soup time.
Soup time, yes.
So how much time we have before the soup time?
Let Dennis tell you.
I generally have my soup around 7 o'clock.
You're in
so
Paris?
we have 15.
That's in 45 minutes. No
perfect,
problem.
Perfect. Okay, so we were talking about the PhD, and I was telling them that I'm doing a industrial PhD with a collaboration between a university and a company, and in the R&D department of the company. So our first problem popped up when we wanted to define a topic for my PhD at the end of the first year, and I already had two projects that I worked on. I did a publication in the first and a publication in the second, but those two topics were completely unrelated to each other's. So the first was about a medical equipment using AI to be implemented in a medical equipment, which is the sonar one. You know, this machine that is put in on the tummy of a pregnant woman to see the child. So this stick is handmade and is still being handmade for now. So they put a number of layers above each others, and they need to make sure that there is no defectiveness in anyone, because it costs a lot to do and it cannot be tested until it's completely manufactured. So it is a 1-to-3 ratio of success. So for each 3 handles that are made, 1 is thrown out. So this is my first topic. The second topic was about localization using IoT and something called angle of arrival using Bluetooth 5.1, which was a new feature back then. And when I was presenting my first year's report to my supervisor in the university, he was like, "Yeah, so what is your thesis about? What is it going to be about, localization or medical equipment?" So I told him that I have no idea, because in 2 months I'm gonna start a new project. So we didn't actually. We went through with the angle of arrival project, and we did a patent. So which is something great. This was my first patent, and it is accredited in Europe for the EU patent committee. So after that, I started working. Okay, I did so 2 years till now with the angle of arrival and the medical thing, and big differences appeared between the perspectives of the CEO of the company and the supervisor in the university, because every time I had some results, the supervisor in the university would say, "Yeah, so we can publish something now." But in the same time, I am under a non-disclosure agreement with the company, so most of the results are not okay to be published, and they don't care of publishing things, so they don't give me time to write papers or journals so I can submit them. And this is where I started to freak out a bit, because at the end I'm here to get my PhD and I need to please both sides. So I took this off my back, and I asked for a meeting for both of them, and I asked them that this is my situation. I cannot solve it by myself. I need your help. I need some compromise to get to a certain compromise here. So as you can imagine, they didn't came up with a compromise, and I started. I stayed, just in the same problem, laying around, trying to round the corners and trying to make things look prettier by maybe sometimes saying things that are not true because I need things to work, and these kind of things. And at the end of the second year, and in order to pass as a PhD, so now I have 2 assessments. One is with the university as a PhD student who needs to have publications, and he needs to have a certain requirement to pass for the third year. I had enough requirements. I need to finish some credits, to attend some summer schools, to give some teaching, to these stuff, and I was able to manage them. But the company asked me to move with them to another city in Europe, and this where the problem occurred now, like 3 months ago, that I cannot move because I have a PhD here. I'm related to this university here. Then we came up with a compromise that there is an office for a company that my company is gonna buy in Geneva. So I stay in this office and they move and I follow them when I finish my PhD. So as you can imagine, it is a great experience to be in an industrial world, but in the same time, it is a big drawback when it comes to constitutional things or maybe administrative stuff. So regarding the technicalities, what I have been working on lately, after publishing a paper about the medical imagery device, we started working on localization for indoor cases for maritime application, which means that inside a cruise ship, for example, and this was inspired by an accident that happened in on the port of Genova, which is a well-known port. There was an accident where there was a fire and in a cruise ship, in a huge one, and they didn't know how much people are in there. And for smoke and this situation, they cannot know how, like, they cannot see cameras or things. So we decided to come up with a method that localizes people accurately even under harsh conditions, saying that like, we don't have GPS because it is inside the cruise ship. It doesn't work. And at the same time, there is some localization methods that might be used, from which we started with our first approach, which was using Bluetooth 5.1 to get the angle of arrival and the strength of the signal that is coming from a like a credit card that is it looks like a credit card, and it has a battery in it. It sends waves. And the other side is the antenna that receives waves and localizes how many targets we have in this room and in that room and in this corridor and stuff like this. So this
Can I
was,
interrupt you here?
yeah,
Since it's because it's the technicalities. I think this card it's similar to RFID, something RF card,
yes,
RF
it is an
readers. Yes.
RFID, yeah.
Okay. So just to be sure, go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's it. So and we had some novelty into the implementation of this RFID to suit well the the Bluetooth 5.1 communication protocol. So because RFID usually has different communication method than Bluetooth, so we did something there. And this was the heart of our patent here, to make it possible to communicate between this device, the credit card we call it, and any other. So our vision is to implement it into credit cards, actually. So this is where we get the patent. So maybe credit cards would be traceables if a client wants to. Just this is the thing. So we published a new localization method that uses AI, yeah, in general, and that is improved by AI and uses mainly angle of arrival and RSSI methods to collect the localization data. Now we had some limitations with this approach, that the range isn't very big of the Bluetooth 5.1. So we wanted to make it extendable even behind walls. So we are using something called FMCW radar, which is a new type of localization that suits our credit card, but is different in the sense that it has one antenna that, okay, so I'm gonna be clear now. The first approach used was consisting that the subject, which is the person that we are looking for, has a device that sends data and the antenna receives data. This was the main approach. So using radar itself sends data. So it sends data to the credit card that reflects data. So it has one antenna of sending data and two antennas of receiving data, and they calculate the phase between each others in order to get the angle. So on which angle is this person standing? And for the distance, we also use something like FFT filter to get the distance out of the incoming signals. So
Okay,
we were
just
able.
here I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, I think until now you did a horizontal or 2D localization.
True.
is there is any, sorry, maybe it's there, but you cannot say, I don't know, for 3D localization, for the height.
That's a very that's a funny thing to answer, because I get this question from reviewers, but you and the reviewers forgot that people would be standing on the ground. We don't need to 3D localize them. No one would be walking on the ceiling, because he's in a room, he's in a closed space, so he's probably either lying on the ground or standing on the ground. So it doesn't make any difference. We just need to know that there's someone in there or not.
I like that. I forget this part, but honestly, I didn't forget it. I considered the crews of multiple floors, and I don't know how you are looking for the antennas.
Each
Okay.
antenna is responsible for one floor.
Exactly. So now you have 3D. Okay.
Yeah. Each antenna is responsible for one floor. There's no antenna that has sending power enough to reach different floors in a cruise ship that is made of steel.
Exactly.
Because
yes.
as you know, steel is very reflective. And one thing we didn't know when we begin is that the paint that is used inside cruise ships is different than regular paint, just to make sure that the steel doesn't get when steel,
yes, exactly.
I forgot the word. I don't know the word. Jonathan, help us. yeah, exactly. So
okay, just because it's interesting. At the end, you have something to cover the height. This is what I'm thinking about. That's all.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah. So now we are implementing this, and we are writing a journal, and we are willing to submit it to a very, very important journal conference, which is called Nature. I think Dennis knows these very well, and he knows that it's hard to get accepted there. So we are hoping maybe it would get accepted. And anyway, if it doesn't, it's working for our application. And as you might expect, this isn't the only thing I'm working on, because the company has other interests and projects and consulting projects, and I need to cover those as well. Because of one reason is that I went into the localization thing because I needed to have consistency in my thesis. I needed to only work on one topic. I cannot work on several topics. So as you can imagine, it's pretty messy. So in my head, I have I work two jobs now. The first is the PhD for the localization, and the second is wherever the company asks me to do. It is a great opportunity for learning. I am learning a lot. So one of the things I have on my to-do list is to, for example, now I'm reading, read Dennis's book, and I actually have it. But and it is something that you will learn about when that helps you learning as a learner. As a PhD candidate, you aim to learn, but there's no time at all. I have like 12 hours of working a day, and I'm having fun. This is why I'm continuing, and I'm fine with it. But the problem is that I have another experience from another student who was not able to get this compromise between his university supervisor and his company supervisor. So it is a bit of a different case. They were both standing on their positions and not willing to make any round corners or anything. So he decided that his only option, and because he is here to get a PhD, is to drop off the company and stay working as a PhD candidate without without getting paid. And this is hard. That's not very easy for someone who's like 24. I'm 24, by the way, and he's 27, I think, to not get paid for like 2 years. Yeah, so this might be one of the drawbacks. And I have many friends who are in France and in Germany and in Italy who are doing PhDs. The main problem, if we're talking about PhD in general, is that in my opinion, it is not well sanctioned, meaning that you are, as a PhD, how many publications you have. But I know someone who was doing PhD in Germany and who has 12 publications in 3 years, which is like abnormal because you cannot discover 12 things in 3 years. But when you go to his papers, you see like he has a like a data set. He collected a data set using some sort of sensors, and he applied one learning method, and this is one publication. So he applied a second learning method, and this is his second publication. And you know, the main idea is novelty. So what is novel? For example, no one have ever taken this bottle and put it here. So this is novelty. But how important is it? This is the real question. How important is it to make a publication about putting the bottle of water here? You know, and should it be accepted as a publication? Like the juries are getting easier and easier. So for example, I have a friend who wants to publish in a reputable journal, but if he didn't get like good results, he publishes in a less important journal. You know, so journals are divided into sections: Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So Q1 is the most important one and harder to get accepted, and Q4 are the easiest. So when he starts working on something, he is gonna publish 100% wherever he gets. It's either Q1 or Q4. And this is frightening when you think that research is going that way, because at the end of the day, you like whatever you try, you will be able to publish, which doesn't make sense because research is about trial and error. So error is now called Q4, and success and succeeding trials are called Q1. So this is why I see there's a big problem. You know, like the highlight for me is 12 publication in 3 years. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, I just here want to say something. Previously, I was discussed with Tom about this session with Ammar, and he asked me, "Do you want to moderate this session?" I told him, "No, it's not me, the person who's able to moderate it. I'm not on that place. I didn't go on that." And previously, also, this is maybe nobody know it. Only me and Ammar. Ammar, in the first time we connect on LinkedIn and we make the first call. This is maybe 1 year back or more somehow.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling me, "Thank you for that," but he was telling me that I found your profile. It's great. I hope this is Ammar saying, "I hope my profile will be like you after 10 years." I told him, let me face you face to face after 2 years because you will have better profile. Currently, he did that. His profile is better than mine, much better than mine. Besides, I know
that's
exactly.
so humble. I refuse it. Thanks.
No, don't
for the record.
Don't refuse it. This is honestly, even right now when I'm working with Tom about our book, I was very honored that Ammar is reviewing part of it, and I like the way he reviewed. The great thing about Ammar, from my point of view, that he is really able to create this compromise that he is looking for between his job and his PhD for one reason. Right now, he was reading from his to-do list. I know exactly how he is organized his activities. He is very, very, very organized, managing his time in a great way. This is something there is something I know that he's involved in. He didn't mention it yet. A lot of volunteering work. He's great from that point of view. Now, I cannot discuss a lot about the publication, but previously before this session, during the class session, Ammar, I was telling you that always we can go for standardized process. The same for the publication, maybe my opinion. It's not only maybe this kind of publications. I just remember what's happened. This is one example. What's happened when COVID started, and there is a fever over the world that everybody want to use. One of them is me also. X-rays, CT scans, all kind of radiography to detect COVID. Tons of papers are published there. Great results appeared. And I was even going deeper to try to go in production and find a way to maintain this and retraining this neural networks. But I think this is something hasn't to be published under a data science or engineering process. I think this has to be more related to the medical, because the difference between all of these papers, it's from medical point of view, it's not from engineering point of view. So this is one difference. It's how to categorize this publication. Maybe it's different. It has to be considered. So anything from this point, Ammar, and
Yes.
also I will try to read the chat for you.
Okay, so I have an example that will make things clear here. I'm not criticizing the research word. I'm criticizing how are funds affecting the way research is sanctioned. For example, there is a lab in Grenoble, France. It's called Samtic Lab, and it is a lab that worked for 4 years. It has like 12 PhD students, maybe 10 postdoc and some supervisors. They worked for maybe 8 to 10 years without any publication, a research lab. And when they came up with a publication, it was called Introduction to LoRaWAN, which is a communication protocol that is widely used in IoT now. It's like the idea behind LoRaWAN is that you use less power, very like one battery, and very small antennas to reach a tenth of kilometers of range. So those people were financially independent. They didn't have anyone to sanction them on their publications, and they came up with something great. Because, and by the way, the Chinese company bought the lab and things like this, I think. Yeah, and they came up with a plan over 5 years. It was extended to reach maybe 8. I think. But just imagine how frustrated they were for like 8 years, no publications at all from a research lab. This was a mess. But at the end, they came up with something great, something that added value to the humanity. I think my work will not add any value because it is oriented towards publications. I need someone to come and continue over my work, and maybe I should be continuing other person's work in order to get a novel idea at the end. And this might be the point, I think. This might be the main problem.
Okay. Ashish, I want to get your question, but first I will ask Kimberly, do you want to ask your question or read it from chat?
I can ask it or read it. Basically,
We can ask it. Okay.
Okay. So Ammar, I was wondering, it sounds to me like maybe there's different levels of the publications because there's a different need, and I don't know because I'm not publishing for PhD publications, but in terms of there being a leveled layers of communication in terms of publications, could it not be that the lower levels like the Q4 are because there are elements in people's research that maybe the entire research component is not a wow, it's not amazing, but there are components in it that if they did not publish it, those components would not get out into the world, and therefore people would not be able to build on it. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that's true. So maybe I went into an investigation in which I came up with a dead end. So instead of throwing this into throwing this out of the window, I decide to publish something and tell whoever wants to try this that I tried it and I got humble results. This is where you publish your Q4s, but it doesn't mean that this. I don't think that this is how things should be, because
Why?
Because a publication is about a success story, an addition to the word, and this could be something called a letter. A letter is a 4 pages report that you submit. It is always accepted. You just submit and it is published. And you say that I tried 1, 2, 3, and it didn't work. Instead, they try to make this failure as some sort of a success, even if it's humble, and they publish for a Q4, where they have something where they can publish failures.
What do they have that they can publish failures? What is that?
It's called letter. You know, you have a conference paper, a journal, and a letter. A letter is not sanctioned. You know, it's always accepted. You just say wherever you want, and it is added to a repository where letters are there. So whenever you search in ResearchGate or in Google Scholar, you will always see letters. So usually, if you're looking for something and you see a letter, don't go there.
So I'm wondering if you're frustrated because you are working towards something that you want to have in that Q1, but that you for some reason don't feel that it's worthy. I'm trying to understand the frustration.
So my problem is that you cannot do 3 years of PhD in which like your first year would be a reading about the topic and publish 12 publications, because this would lessen the value of each publication and the publications in total. So if a certain lab publishes 100 publications in 1 year, or if he publishes 20 publications with 80 letters, how the publication's value would be affected, do you think? I think it's gonna have greater value.
Well, this is on the basis of, you know, the scarcity notion. And I'm just curious as to you know, in terms of your interest in this, granted that there are many people who are lowering standards. It sounds like you're upset that standards are being lowered.
True.
And if the standards are being lowered, is there a legitimate reason for those standards being lowered? And if not, is there a case maybe that you're trying to make that says, you know, we need to raise the standards? And if so, how much are you concerned with organizations raising the standards versus just raising your own standards and acting as an example for yourself and for those that you work with?
Okay, so I do care about my own standards, but at the end, I am sanctioned by the same standards that goes out in the research world. For example, in my university, I need to publish 2 journals, 2 papers to get my PhD before submitting my thesis for review. So, for example, if I had one successful, meaningful journal, and that's it, like I cannot submit to the thesis review, so I cannot get graduated. So at that moment, people go and publish anything in a Q4 just to get the standards.
I see. So it's really a failing of the institutions and what their expectations are more than the publications.
Yeah, and I think the reason behind this is that the funding committees, as for example, in Italy, the regions usually fund the research, like the regions committee, comune they call it here. Municipality, yeah, the municipality of the region usually supports research, and they sanction by the number of papers, the number, which is the main cause.
You mean the
maybe.
count even? Okay.
Yeah, the number, exactly.
Okay. Just Kimberly, maybe if there is still the discussion, it's okay, but I will want to lose Ashish. Ashish, please.
Yes, please ask your question.
Actually,
I lose your voice, Ashish.
Yeah, I cannot hear you, Ashish.
Okay, he I guess my question is already asked, so he posted on the.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, now it's okay.
Yeah, first of all, Ammar, it's been a great inspirational journey, especially when you brought a compromise between your company and your university. It's some situation that I've always put in myself and wondered what I'll do in such situations. But kudos to you. Secondly, my question was on the top of what Kimberly asked. It was something similar. That I myself have not a research person. I've never published any good research amount, but I still wonder that based on what Kimberly said, that if there is some publication where which is complete failure, but which might provide some insights to other further researchers in the future, uh, isn't that okay to publish it? But as you already said that there's some letter where you can publish the same. But isn't that the responsibility of the publication organizations to keep a level of themselves to maintain that particular, if such, if downgraded publications are to be accepted in their as a publication or not? So maybe a discussion point could be such that if those publication organizations have downgraded their level, then is it worth to publish or consider them as Q2 or Q3? Maybe they have downgraded themselves. So can
Yeah,
this be?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. I think this is why they made the leveling of publication committees. For example, Q1, this like leveling didn't exist before, but like some smart people considered that if this journal is publishing good things, that means that they will get citations, meaning that others will use their work in future publications. So that would be the metric of how good a certain publication committee is. So it's called H index, and this H index is about how many citation per publication they are getting. Okay, and this is how you know if it's worth to publish there or not. And if you have humble results, you get for lower H index. You go there, and if you are interested in publishing there.
Okay.
Greg?
Got it.
Sorry, anything, Ashish?
No, that's it.
Sure. Okay, Greg, please, your question. Greg is not here.
Do you guys hear me?
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Hey guys. Ammar, I wanted to ask you real quick. Do you think there's a correlation between the time spent on the publication versus its quality?
But correlation does not imply causation.
Mm-hmm.
Great. This is great.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a correlation, because you cannot, like, Newton discovered a great thing when he was under the tree, and it didn't take him so much time. But in order to get there, in order to think like Newton back then, you needed lots of time to get to this intellectual level in this domain. And as things are going deeper and deeper, and things are like PhD, if it's just great if you can see PhD topics of my university for the past 50 years. They have a record. So first, a PhD thesis would be about artificial intelligence in 1982. You know, now you need to call it indoor localization using FMCW radars and angle of arrival antennas using RNN and LSTM implementation. That would be the title of the thesis. So things are getting deeper and deeper. So time should be spent more. And the state of the art, which is the situation of this technology in the world right now, needs more time to be understood. So yeah, time, a good publications, a good publication needs some time, but it does not mean that if you give time, you're gonna get a publication.
Totally makes sense.
yeah, this is where like correlation does not imply the causation. And the thing is that the people I was talking about does not believe that correlation does not apply causation. So they think if they spend time on doing something, they will need to publish, which is not the case.
So it seems like, so in other words, for me, if correlation is not causation, which I agree, totally agree with, that means you can't really, we need a better way to measure the quality of someone who's pushing 12 publications a year. Because, you know, a better way to say, no matter how many publications you can push out in a year, some of them may be of good quality, some of them may be poor quality, but there must be some sort of standard way to kind of confirm that it will be serving humanity in a good way, right? So
Okay,
it's kind of like,
yeah, I have a friend who's Lebanese who used to work with Microsoft in New York City, and now who's doing his PhD in MIT, and it is his 4th year now, and he still have 0 publications. I was talking to him, and he told me that he is starting to prepare for his one and only publication. Without reading it, I know it's great. And that would be a good metric to see where is he applying his publications to. If they are all Q1s, means that he is getting on every publication he has more maybe than 20 citations per publication.
so you're saying,
And it
you're
is
saying,
important to see where are those citations coming from, because if they are coming from a Q4, which means like the site, the new publication doesn't have quality. Yeah.
you're saying he
Circulated-
hasn't published it yet, right? Or
Yeah.
he has published it.
Nothing yet.
Okay, but you already know it's going to be of good quality.
Yes.
What do you base that on, right? So are you basing that because he's spending time to research it? Or are you aware of the testing he's made that he confirms that his results are good? You know, what are your bases
Yeah,
for it?
I'm based on 2 things: that he spent 4 years in MIT and coming from a background at working with Microsoft, and he worked at Uber for 1 year. So usually, like generally, he should have a good result. But as I know his research topic and the results he got and ignored, you know, I could easily get 2 Q1s with his results, the one he already got and ignored, because they didn't satisfy their needs as publishing something with importance.
Got it.
I can add third reason. He's Lebanese also. So.
He's Brazilian.
Okay, Dennis, he has a question, but before the question, you mentioned the time, Greg, and
Yes.
Ammar mentioned 1982 about artificial intelligence. I think Dennis will add great things about this too. Beside your question, Ammar, which is I know it already, to Dennis. So go for Dennis.
You're muted. You're muted. Dennis.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
I was just thinking, you know, while you're talking, you know me, I'm not very political. That's why I avoid speaking. Let me tell you something. One day, George Gershwin, the American composer, you know, of music, Rhapsody in
Yes.
Blue,
Yeah.
he went to Paris to see Ravel, the great French composer. And Gershwin would say, "What do you think of the way I write? You know, it goes back to your publication. Would it be acceptable for you the way I write my music scores?" So we would say Ravel would be your journal, and Gershwin would be submitting his paper. And Ravel said, "Well, aren't you a millionaire?" And Gershwin says, "Yeah." And he says, "What do you care? I mean, what do you care? Yeah, you make mistakes, but what do you care?" So I'm more of a I'm pragmatic. You're working on a thesis, right? You're not creating a journal. As far as what do you care? You need publications. Go directly to tier 4, get rid of the thesis and move on to your life. What do you care? Because there is no absolute objective way of saying a paper is good or bad. I mean, I love papers. I'm always reading papers, you know, like I read them like comic books. I told you, I read a lot of
Yes.
papers, and I read what's a good paper and a bad paper. For me, a good paper is a paper that gives me ideas, and a bad paper is just boring. So sometimes they're probably papers that you would find magnificent. They're just boring. I'm not learning anything, even if their whole thing was a success and everything. I'm just bored to death. And then you have these papers. I've read a few papers. You even wonder how they got published. But the guy mentions a concept, something I didn't really explore. So then I'll go back and read another book or something. So I'm a pragmatic. You have a thesis, get your thesis out of the way, get it done, go get a degree, and forget about all these journals, because it's going to, and it depends on the culture. You have people writing papers that come like from Iran or Saudi Arabia or the Gulf, and they have a certain way of thinking. And then you have Americans that have another way of thinking, and you have Chinese that have another way of thinking, and they don't. All these three cultures don't fit together. They rarely agree. United States tends to be woke now, so then you have the Middle East is still in African countries are still in traditional culture, and they're not as giving lessons to everyone. And China's not is more like me. They don't even care what you're talking about. They just want to get products on the market, rockets into space. My advice would say, forget about all that. Write the articles, target tier 4, get rid of it. I mean, just get rid of this thesis, because there's a second factor I notice is time. Time is crucial. So we're speaking about 1982. That's when I registered my patent for embedding. And I was thinking about time at that time, because I started working when I was 24. I was still a student, and I taught at the Sorbonne, and they were going so slowly. I mean, they never get anywhere. So time is a factor, and time worries me right now. It's just, I'm very worried about, you're okay, you're 24, but I'm very worried about a lot of people, because maybe you see it in my posts. It's like when the telephone came, some people didn't use it. Then when the car came, people were still on horses. That's what you have to think about, because right now we're going straight into metaverses. We're going straight into a metaverse world where we'll have a headset, and this meeting will be like prehistoric Stone Age stuff. We'll be in a digital room. We'll be like sitting in a meeting room, and we'll be talking as if we were together. We won't be in this area. We'll be in a magnificent hotel on a meeting room, and we'll be in 3D with virtual. So we're going into a metaverse. In that metaverse, we have meta-humans that are digital humans already, and they're already there, and they're already using GPT-3. About a third of the code Microsoft is putting on GitHub comes from its GitHub Copilot. It's not written. I got early access. You just type one line and bing, it gives you the full paragraph. And then you have these transformers, and the transformers are almost outdated. So by the time you read my book, you'll have maybe another edition where I'm speaking about that. We're going into something else that of course had to be, because I just watch, because I watch all this research and I find it very childish, honestly. So I just wait. Transformers, okay, but the next generation is already there with their Pathfinders. It's called Pathfinders, where you can put 1 billion.
Who is actually finding these new things?
Yeah, like let me give you an example. You want to know that the original Transformer paper, Attention Is All You Need. Go back and look at it. Was written by a person that doesn't have a PhD and that didn't even finish his studies. He was the main writer of the article, and he was the one finding and fine-tuning all these things to get that to work. And he found that recurrent networks was too complicated, just took it out. He said, what happens if I just try with attention? And at first he was saying it's nonsense, but then it made sense. So don't worry about, I would say time is a factor. You're 24. You're at the limit. You're at the balance of going into the metaverse or refusing to go into that world because it's not human. But I'm a gamer. I'm a video gamer. And metaverses have been here like for 20 years. When you go into Call of Duty, you have a headset, you're already in another world. All you have to do is replace that world by meeting rooms, shops, and it's already there. So I would spend more time in following the market than following academia, because academia is going to go slower and slower and slower. Big tech is not big. Stanford created a center for transformers because OpenAI and Google gave them nothing. It didn't come from the universities. Transformers did not come from, and they gave them nothing, and they're still not giving them the source code. So big tech is going on their own at full speed. And it's going so fast. Yeah, it's going so fast that I think by the end of the year, it's over. Many people that are 30, 35, 40, they just, they'll just go on living like, on their horses while the cars go there. It's going. So time is a very worrisome factor for me right now.
Yeah, I just sorry, Greg. I just wanted to note there that I didn't ditch my company supervisor because I want to stay with him when I finish, because I want to continue in the industry. I cannot. There's also a time restriction.
All these papers, just write what you need to get your thesis and get out of it. No one's going to read your thesis.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to go into the library of the university, second floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Fifth shelf. In a digital, it'll be digital.
No, it's not digital, and the main reason why it will not be read is that they ask for a paper version.
Yeah, but
so it will go to the archive.
It's geological. As soon as you put you're there, others going to pile up on it every month, and in 2 years there'll be so many of them, even if it was digital. So forget about your thesis. Just write it, get your degree, and get out of there, because it's a waste of time talking to academia. That's my advice. You're just wasting your time. They'll never change. It's academia. They just sit in meeting rooms and ask you questions, and then they go see their mistress, and then they go to conferences where they go to nightclubs, and they come back and they make these serious stuff there. I've been in a lot of trips with all these people. They're not one of them. I didn't find anyone I could respect. I mean,
I'm actually going to a conference in Dubai in a month.
Well, watch them. Watch them at 10 in the evening.
I will.
Look at the ones that go to bed, then ones that go outside, the ones that go down to the nightclubs, the ones that have these the tired eyes in the morning, and they're drinking and they're eating. And listen to them talk. They're boring. So forget about it. Go for your path.
Yeah.
I have two things to add just here. First, I have question to Ammar.
But Ammar, you had a question for me right before I left or something.
Yeah, I do have a comment, but
which conference first? Because I will be in Dubai within 1 month.
It's called the iShex conference, and it is.
Yeah, but Gayat, I know you're not. You're like me. You won't do anything wrong. You're into this. If you go to a conference, you'll be in your bed by 9 or 10 p.m.
No, Dennis, I'm going to Dubai not for the conference, okay? For another conference, let's name it, okay?
Your wife.
Yes. Now the second,
the absolute conference.
Yes, the second comment. It's I will read it, by the way, but because only Dennis told you this, maybe I will never read it. But because Dennis saying that, I will read it. Okay.
So now I have 3 people who are willing to read it: Kimberly, Raith, and my father, who has a PhD and who was pushing me to do PhD just because his father and my other grandfather are doctors. So I need to complete the heresy of the family.
Yeah, get your PhD. It's nice to have a PhD.
Okay.
Gives you a nice title.
Ammar,
So-
you have something to tell Dennis about? Sorry, Greg, but because this is something Dennis will have to follow his soup time.
Yeah. So I was recently in Tokyo, Dennis, and
Yes.
I went there. If in the project I'm working currently, it is one of the investors in my company, and they are from Tokyo, and they have. Okay, I'm under NDA, so I cannot say anything.
Yeah.
I cannot say much things. So, they have a pump, let's say, a machine. Okay,
Yeah.
so they got me data. So I wanted to detect when the machine is going to fail without lots of data, with
So
only
you want
new
to
data.
predict. It's a maintenance
Yeah.
prediction.
Yeah, maintenance prediction, because it costs around $200,000 per year to change it, and they change it every year, but they do not want to change it too early or too late, because too early they lose money, too late they go into a crash of 2 to 3 days of off work. So remember when you told us about Morocco when you went there?
Yeah.
And when you went into the place where that woman who has experience work by hand?
Yeah. I do that. I did it all the time on every site.
Okay, so I decided after finishing my first batch of ML ops, I made something that's working. I asked them if it's possible for me to come there, to come to the manufacturing place to see. I went there and I actually discovered something that is, I'm gonna tell you one of the things, because just so we don't take so much time.
Take your time. I have a few minutes.
Okay.
Because tonight we're going to the restaurant to eat the soup. So.
Okay. Okay, so one of the things is that the table on which the machine is at. Okay, so our features are vibration, cyclic vibration or sinusoidal, temperature, maybe some other sensors. It's like 5, 6, but the main thing is vibration for us. One of the legs of the table on which the machine is on, if you press on it by hand, it moves.
That's why you have to go on site.
Yeah, and
they ask you for this
in my data
thing, and the table's not stable. Of course, that's typical.
Yeah, and in my data, I saw something, and I imagined that this might be something inside of the motor, but at the end, the motor should always be sinusoidal, because otherwise, either the sensor is not working or something else is also moving.
Yeah, I never believe the data. That's why I go see on site. Of course.
Yeah, I went there, and
excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah, and I discovered another thing, is that in the summer season, I saw a seasonality in the temperature that says, okay, the ceiling of the manufacturing place is has cracks to get lights in, and those cracks are
Let
glass.
The sun in.
Yeah.
So they magnify the heat in the summer.
And it gets on the sensor.
Yeah, of course. That's typical. That's why I don't believe in data. That's why I always went on site and I said, what is this data you're giving me? It's all wrong. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but also with the data, we did some good results, and now we're willing to get better results.
Yeah, of course. That's exact. Never believe the data. You have to go check it. Yeah, of course. That happened to me, like, I don't know, tens of times.
Yeah, and this is, like, for me, this is my first I wanted to talk to you there.
No, but there's worse than
I
that.
wanted to call you there, just to tell you that, you told me once about this Moroccan woman, and I found the Japanese guy who has the same things.
Yeah, and see, that's excellent. And then there's the second thing you have to do is when they give you the temperature and the vibrations, I doubt the data. First of all, I doubt where it comes from, and I often found these table syndromes or ceiling almost every time. And there's a second problem: is often now that you have this and you've gone that far, there's a second problem you're going to see: is the data is not consistent. Often they'll give you the temperature, but it wasn't taken at exactly at the same time as the vibration, or you'll find that someone entered the data at the end of the day in a screen, and it's not synchronized. The data doesn't fit together, or maybe they come from different software and they converted.
No, I actually wrote the code for data collection.
It's just in general. Don't believe that data first of all, don't believe the source of data, but don't believe it fits together because it's maybe asynchronous. It doesn't fit together. Every time they gave me data, it was not real and it didn't fit together.
Yeah, I had such problem because we have two of the same machine, and they installed the vibration sensor on different locations. and this like we have two machines because one is the old one,
and that's in Japan. That's Japan.
Yeah, in Tokyo.
That's surprising because usually they're smarter than that. Yeah, but that's human beings. It's very fun to go in real life and look at people. They constantly make mistakes. Their data is wrong. The data source is wrong. The data doesn't fit together. You can even earn a living making consistent data, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great, Ammar.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you and mention this for you. So
well, thank you because I like your story. I like stories, so that's a nice story.
Thanks.
Okay.
I
Greg.
like the table. I'll never forget that example with the table. I was studying the vibrations, but then I touched the table and it was moving. Yeah, that's excellent.
Greg, please go ahead.
Yeah, what's surprising about your story, Ammar, is that you went to Tokyo. Like, being an industrial engineer, there's one thing I always remember when it comes to data. You collect the data, but you also apply Gemba, which is a Japanese term. Gemba Genbutsu means go and see at the location of occurrence. So, and it's a Japanese term. So to say that they're not applying that term at their factory in Tokyo is quite surprising.
Greg, you're right. I learned a lot from the Japanese. I worked with Japanese and I learned a lot of everything I'm saying from them. Yeah, of course. You know, Greg, while we're at it, before I go, Greg and Kimberly, are you okay for November 18th?
So I have a really big project due the 19th. So I want to say yes, but at the same time, I don't want to.
Maybe we can do it the week after.
Yes, then I'm free. Then I'm completely.
You have to be there. You have to be there. And Gay, if anyone wants to come there, you know, it's Gay. It just comes. It came up with Greg because of this time problem I'm talking about. I think by the end of this year, 2021, 99% of the data sciences and artificial intelligence will not be able to catch up with the speed it's going at. It's not possible. I don't believe it. Only the people that are studying, that are maybe under Ammar's age, can catch up. It's too late. There's too much. It's really there's an incredible mass of new things coming up full speed. I'm in a metaverse right now. I got early access. I got early access to the GitHub Copilot, early access to OpenAI, and it took all the experience I had to really, you know, get through it and see how to use it. I think it's too late for most people. I don't dare write that on LinkedIn, but I think so. It's game over.
Dennis, I have a confession to make for everyone, right? So I follow Dennis's post through time, and if anyone wants to understand how his thought process is, collect the list of his posts and then read them one by one. And yesterday, I think you posted something about that publication you put out in 2017. Where you talked about why aren't companies accepting to work remotely? And I was like, wow. And to think that you published something in 2017 for something that we're about to experience in 2020 was crazy. And then in that article,
I had zero doubt when I wrote the article.
Exactly, that's crazy. And then you mentioned in that article the concept of the metaverse in 2017. So that was amazing. So
but I'm a gamer. So but I was dreaming of this in the 1980s already, but I didn't have the computer power. I was already dreaming of like some kind of headset, and I worked on computer vision to detect people's expressions. I had the cards. I had a $50,000 card, vision card. But I'm just waiting for things to happen. In fact, you know, I know it's going to happen, but I just wait for it to happen, and then I can go faster than a lot of people. But what worries me is that most people won't see what's happening.
And on that note, Dennis, you mentioned Pathfinder earlier. For me, in my opinion, I don't believe in an AGI that will be kind of like self-aware or will apply creativity and things
It's
like
not
that.
self-aware. It's not self-aware.
Yeah.
It's just like, remember when we were talking about my engine?
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking about my engine, I told you that was driven by the data.
Mm-hmm.
My engine is a sparse model. It means you don't need to fill all the fields in it for it to work on a supply chain. It will take the data you give it sparsely and run on it. And I wrote it like 25 years ago, and I've been waiting for you know what the name of my module is? Pathfinder.
Crazy.
That's the name of it. The name of it, the legal name of it inside the code is Pathfinder, because that was 25 years ago. It's obvious. It's obvious that you have a world with parameters that you represent. And then this world gives you, like Ammar said, the vibrations, whatever data comes in. And then the engine reacts to it sparsely and gives you a result. So I was just waiting for this to happen because it's still used to this day in many, many fields. And what it's saying is a very good idea, is that you will have one model that will do 1 million tasks because you won't activate the same parameters every time. It's not AGI. AGI is fiction.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, do you think maybe we need to change our concept of what AGI should be? It should be more of a sparse model that activates and performs multiple tasks given the data that's activated.
It goes back to what I was telling Ammar, who cares about AGI? I mean, I don't care about it. AGI is just, for hype. Okay, fine. It gets people funding. That's great. But who cares? Anyone serious knows it will never exist unless machines have a soul or something. I mean, of course, I know that we're living in a materialistic, soulless society, but there is a soul somewhere. I mean, otherwise, why are we here talking? I mean, I could just be walking around in my garden like an ape. I don't need to be dressed in anything. If I don't have a soul, I don't even want to live. I mean, who cares? So I don't even believe in AGI, but I think that, well, I don't want to take Ammar's time, but I think
go, please.
What's happening is two curves. That's why I'm afraid right now of the people. This curve is going down. That's the intelligence. That's the general intelligence value of the population. Everyone is Ammar said it. Everything is specializing. So human beings have become functions. You're a function. You're a doctor. You're a lawyer. You specialize. And you're right. In 1982, we could give a general title to a dissertation. Now we're specialized. So we're functions. We're not humans anymore. We're functions. And we're dividing it like 4 divided work into these functions. At the same time, you have these foundation models, these powerful that are doing more and more tasks. So in fact, they can give the impression that they are smarter than us because we're becoming just dumber by specializing. So as we specialize, they generalize. So they're doing the opposite. So in a few months, they'll be doing everything we do in our jobs. So it will be in a metaverse with metahumans that go faster than us, that think faster than us, that will manipulate the behavior of everyone on YouTube, on Amazon, for purchasing, for everything. And the human beings will be, oh yeah, that's cool. Oh yeah, that basketball player put that cap on. I'm going to buy it, and I'll watch the video. So I think we're specializing and they're generalizing, and by the end of this year, it's too late. That's all. But I won't say that on LinkedIn. But Greg, you're right. I'm just writing things every day on what I'm working on. It's just a diary. LinkedIn is a diary for me. And I just make it a bit digestible for people, and I keep my own stuff for myself on my own analysis, and I never publish it, and I don't show it to anyone, and I don't write on it, and I don't sell it.
as your audience, we have the right to see other activities from you.
Here.
I don't
second
know. I
that.
don't. No, gay. Well, I'll do that the day Gaieth. The day Gaieth. I don't think we should. Because the day Gaieth tells us what he thinks, really, because I've known him now. He's not said one sentence of what he thinks in all this time we've been in these meetings. But the day Gaieth talks and says, you know, people, you have a soul. There is something universal. And if you forget about it, what are we talking about? Then the day Gaieth does that, then maybe I'll open up, because I'll follow him if he goes that way, about his special way of meditation. Because at some point, I'm not just a computer scientist. I'm a human being and a philosopher, and I don't care. These machines are tools. I mean, it's in my profile. Anything that a machine can do is not the essence of a human being. That's my main principle. So Gaieth, the day Gaieth comes out, I'll follow him, but I'm not very brave.
We're waiting on you. We're waiting on you. Certainly.
Let me just. I want to comment here something. I like when you mention the soul. Okay, and I was going to ask Ammar, are you? Why Ammar? Because I know he is able to give me the answer that shutting me up. Okay, he is able to let me shut up. Okay, Ammar, do you know what is the soul is?
Gaieth is coming out.
I do. I have an approach.
Before you answer, Ammar, you know what's missing? I see slots missing in this meeting. There should be a rabbi, an imam of the Muslim religion, a priest, a Buddhist.
So there is another person knows the answer. Okay, that's good.
There should be a list here of religious people all over the world. I don't care where they come from.
Don't do that. We had major problems in Lebanon because of this. Don't do that. Don't go there. We tried it before.
No. There's a problem.
From Dennis' point of view, I think it will be
I know.
It should not be a problem. Yes.
Yeah.
There are excellent imams. I mean, that are very. We need, if you want to go in that direction, we need the view of Gaieth, because Gaieth represents all these people I've been talking about. You don't need to go to Lebanon. You have Gaieth. And Gaieth is just showing 10% of his potential in these meetings. Isn't that, tell me
reveal yourself,
Gaieth, is this right or am I wrong?
I'm not able to speak about myself at the end, but yes, it was interesting for me, and I know you will catch it at the end.
You have to agree with me that 90% of your life is not in computer science.
Yeah, sure, yes, correct.
Right.
And
So
I don't want
sparse
to.
function.
This is a good milestone. This is good now.
Answer, Ammar. What is a soul? Answer Gaieth's question, and then I have to go.
This is like how I see it. It is the difference between having Tom in our meeting or feeling that Tom is out there, but when we mention something, we feel like he would say that. This is his soul here, and this is us missing him. So a soul is.
Dennis, can you? Okay, I like this, Ammar. I like this answer, but still there is something I think Dennis can get it. What is the soul?
For me?
Yeah.
It's who we are. For me, it's who we are really when you go to the Quran and you go to the last surahs, and when the Quran says, in the end, my friend, you won't, the last surahs are very powerful. In the end, my friend, you'll be up there somewhere and the world won't exist anymore. The trees won't exist anymore. Your family will be gone. You did your 5 pillars of Islam. So what? Who are you? What can you tell me who you are? That's the real deep thing at the end of the Quran. And that's the question you have to answer. The soul is when you take everything away Is there something left in you, or you are just a function? Are you just a father? Are you just a brother? Are you just computers? Who are you? And it's something for me that is intemporal. It has nothing to do with material life.
I will top
That's
this by
that's the
saying
soul and the traditional definition of 50,000 years of human beings thinking about that.
So then,
I was with it in a discussion. Sorry, Ken.
Sorry, so Dennis, you think the soul is separate from matter? You think that
no, because I've read Spinoza. I wouldn't separate from matter. I would rather bring in the Buddhist approach. Is everything it's everything, but it's a question of perception. If you
so then how does it tie to your specific identity based on that definition?
Because it's perception. You need your body to perceive. You need your body to love, but it's like a radio. For me, the body is like a radio. It's a fantastic radio that brings in love. The main thing for me in life is love. What is a human being without love? What is a soul without? What is a soul without love?
I actually think I will top up what you said before with a Islamic saying. It says the top level of worshiping God is helping others. And I'm not talking about
no. That's not the end of the Quran. The Quran says, okay, you helped others, you did your 5 pillars. Who are you? No. And that's the same in the Catholic religion.
I would actually need Ghaith to translate for me.
Ammar. لا هي إذا بدك. Sorry, I will speak in Arabic for 20 seconds.
Speak Arabic if you want.
Okay. ويسألونك عن الروح قل الروح من أمر ربي وما أوتيت من العلم إلا قليلا. There is an answer in the Quran which is I'm not looking for, which is you will never find what is the soul here. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
So this is the answer. That's why I asked Ammar, because he know it. But
I didn't.
Let me go to the love, because the love, it's interesting thing. I was reading a
and
paper.
Then I have to go. Otherwise, I won't be loved.
Is just for you because you will like this. I was reading a paper about they are monitoring the activities in the brain when you are seeing someone you love. Okay, so. At that point, when I was reading this paper with a friend, so I told him, okay, what do you think about that? He told me still they didn't mention anything about what is love.
Of course.
Okay. But he answered in a very, let's say, poetry way that, but I love the brain. I told him this is the meaning of this sentence here, that your brain is in love. So he told me, but I'm not my brain.
Right.
This is another great answer. Sometimes I feel humanity is it can be defined by the negative. That means you cannot find what you are. You just able to find what you are not.
I'm more optimistic.
Okay, go ahead.
So I love you all. And now I'm going to go take my wife to the restaurant.
You know, we love you, Uncle Dennis, right?
Yeah, Ugo.
Yeah.
I love you're great. I love your humor. I mean, I can recommend. Greg recommends my post, but every post I read by you is fantastic. I mean, I just love to read your posts.
Thank you, Uncle Dennis.
So have a nice evening, everybody. See you soon.
Bye, Dennis.
See you soon.
Thanks, everyone, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
So
okay,
Rife.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, to me, soul. Yes, I agree. You won't find it while you're here. However, your soul is what helps you respond to what's happening in the real world. Like, it gives you and I don't know if I'm explaining that well. It's your essence.
It's the real engine that's moving you.
Yes, it's your essence that represents, who you really are to what
exactly
he was saying. So in other words, when love happens to you, how do you respond to it? When something bad happens to you, how do you respond to it? What is your essence? Is it going to change you in a way if you receive love, will
Greg,
you love
Greg,
more? Or will you hate more?
I will ask more, let's say, dramatic question to tell what is the soul, maybe. Why, when you are doing something very, I'm not talking about you, when I'm doing something very stupid and I get the blame from everybody in the planet, but I'm happy with it. Why am I happy at that point? So yes, the soul, it's what's really we are, but we don't know exactly what's really we are. That means we don't have a full picture about it. It's something we practicing it each day, each moment, but we don't know it.
Yeah.
Until now, at least.
Yep. I fully agree. It's kind of like, but it feels like your soul can be influenced by your upbringing or your world or the world that you see or you perceive and things like that. So others can influence what your soul stands for. And it's a subconscious process, right? So if you were hated by your parents from the day of birth till you are an adult, your soul will respond to the world in a different way, maybe with apathy. When you do something bad and people are hating you for it, you feel nothing because you're brought up like that, because you're a product of your environment.
But Greg, wouldn't that be more behavior as opposed to soul? I mean, if you're talking about someone's essence as in their personal life force, a person can be affected by their upbringing or their circumstances, and they can have habitual behaviors that result from that, or have biases that result from that. But these can also change, and the behavior changing to me is not the same thing as a soul changing. I mean, maybe for you it is, but for me it seems that that someone's life force. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever seen somebody die, but when someone dies, their life force actually leaves them, and it's amazing to see the transition in a face. Like there's something that
what I'm saying is your soul can be guided, right? So your soul can be guided, right? So there's something as a lost soul, right? There are lots of lost souls. Like you could be alive and you have a lost soul. Like you don't have a kind of like a compass, right? For who you really are, for finding who you really are. So I'm the type of person who's doing everything, searching everywhere because my soul is lost. There are people like that, right? So and you're right, Kim. I believe.
Come on, Greg.
Greg,
if you are not lost, you will never find anything. Okay, I agree on that. But yes, sometimes you have to be lost. Okay, this is something I believe, that if there is nothing to motivate you, it's the need what will motivate you, not the glory, not something good. It's something you feel that it's lost already. But I have a comment related to what you said, let's say, coming with what Kimberly also said. All of these behaviors, or all of these injured souls, let's say, it's not that what's really he is. Still, there is something inside. He is just reacting. The reaction is not the soul. There is something. Why sometimes you are finding maybe the worst, according to our evaluation, the worst person in the world, when you are able to speak to him in a good way, with the good circumstances, he will immediately change and he will show another face. Why this has happened? I believe that we are equal from all the humanity is equal from that point of view. We are only just deciding how to react because this is the only freedom that we have. But if we don't have these challenges, which is the life, it's the challenges, all of us will be equal for sure. That means equal even toward how much we are good, if we are good. So honestly, if you are talking about the soul, just the only thing that I'm able to find here, that there is some action that we are forcing ourselves to it, which is not related to any scientific or calculation or mathematical reasons. All of us are doing that because we have this soul. It's an hidden engine that moving us all together, but for sure for different reasons at the end, maybe. But at the end, it's the real us, which is something it's still hidden. Maybe Kimberly, at that point when the person is going to die, he will know exactly what he is. Maybe when he lose that engine somehow.
Yep.
So, okay. Sorry, Greg, if there's anything to add here, I don't know.
No,
We
I
are totally...
fully agree. I fully agree with you, right? It's the thing that connects us all. In the more dramatic way, in my side, I think movies shows people's soul sometimes in some scenes. You know, picture a scene where, you know, you have this bad guy who did something so bad to the world and then realizes in a scene that the thing is bad, and the person says, "What have I done?" Right? So at that moment, what have I done is because the soul realizes that what he's done or she's done has removed them from the connection he or she has with humanity. And that soul calls him or her back to that. Right. So it's one way of movies showing that somebody has a soul when they realize that they've done things to remove themselves from that connection with humans versus, you know, continuing that connections with humans. So
okay, now after Dennis convert me into a monk and then he go to get his soup. Okay, I have two things to add here. I don't know if anybody want to add anything, but first I have to apologize to you, Go, for that tech time chat today, because maybe I make a comment which wasn't that much good. So sorry, Hugo, about that. If you find it bad, I'm sorry. It was a joke only. This is the first. The second, I have an announcement, which is I'm unable to be, let's say, in the steward team anymore for our sessions. So I ask maybe Hugo, Kimberly, anybody want to get some information from my side related to the YouTube account, to the Zoom account, just to moderate this. Instead of me, I will stay here, but as one of the family member, as a monk, maybe, I don't know, but for sure, I will let Dennis pay for that. Okay. But I think I'm not able right now to be good steward team member. Tom, he is not here. This is why I mentioned that right now, because I don't want to face him face to face immediately. So it was very nice to be there, but really I will not be helpful as I was previously. So I have to apologize for that, but I will continue on Saturdays. I will continue attending. Whatever is planned together, I will keep on it, but not as a steward member. So this is my announcement. Thank you.
No worries, guys. We'll figure it out.
It feels like your favorite series has ended. It's like the last year, last session of Friends, you know?
Well, guys, thank you for everything that you've done for this and getting it off the ground and all the work that you've done. It's greatly appreciated by everyone, I'm sure.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not like that. I think it's the only reason I feel I will not be useful. I'm not that much useful at the end. I'm trying just to, let's say, to gather all of us together. That's the only reason that I'm here. But I feel I will not be useful. Nothing serious. That means there is nothing preventing me. Again, maybe it's something related to the soul. But yes, I have a gap happening in my life. So, and honestly, it will be only covered on Saturdays. So the Saturdays, it will be busy for me. I will not be able to be ready for example, for the class. I will not be ready to manage the YouTube, or even there is a session planned for me. I hope I will do it. But honestly, Saturdays, it will be very busy for me. And for a reason, it's outside of my control. I wasn't able to control it. Thank you for being for being helpful for me. I was happy with all the sessions, even with the steward team meetings, with the personal chats. Magdi, I don't know if she is here. Magdi is honestly, with a couple of messages on WhatsApp, I feel that I have a real sister, real mother here in Germany. But I have to do something related to this Saturdays. Sorry for that.
I think you have done your best. You've given it your all. So, and we thank you for that. We thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're not gone, yo. You're not gone. You're just
no. I'm here. Unless I attend that moment, I don't know when it will happen. But okay, Kimberly, you speak about. But currently, I will stay. I will stay in the sessions.
Then Raif, promise us don't make it sound like it's goodbye.
Right.
No, it's not
goodbye.
I'm just telling you that I will not be able to be part of the steward team, which is we are almost 7. Me, Hugo, Tom, Kimberly, Magdi, and Manpreet, because Gus also is there, because I'm unable to manage any extra time more than this 2 hours together. This is the only thing for Saturdays, and also for the during the week also. So that's the only thing that I'm leaving, which is I'm not part of planning for our sessions. That's all.
Well, you can always give input. I'm sure that the group will listen to you. So
I can make something, just make a comic comment on Dennis pre-soup corner after he went. When he went, I will make the soup corner, which is only for Dennis. It will be.
Regardless, Raif, we love you. We appreciate you. And,
I love you all. I love you all, and I am proud that I have this great family.
Sounds good. All right, team. Talk to you soon.
All right, everybody have a great week.
All right.
Have a great
week.
Take care.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.